Am I the butthole for throwing them out of a house that we own? Son and future in-laws decide to exclude his family from wedding. They thought son owned the house, not us. My wife and I bought a 4-bedroom house in PA that my son lives in. Our son went to college in PA and wanted to stay in the area. So we bought the house as a second home. We live in NJ and commute into Manhattan for work. We figured that he would have a place to live and we could visit every so often and spend some quality time together. We pay the taxes and services/maintenance on the house. Our son pays for his groceries and the house utilities. All was going well for a few years. Our son meets a girl and they get serious. We met her and she seems nice enough. They announced their engagement and she moves into the house with our son. Now, for the problem, the wedding. We hold a little get-to-know-you barbecue at the PA house. My son and daughter are there, as are our son's fiancée and her parents and sisters. We all seem to be getting along well. My wife, daughter and the fiancé go into the house along with her mother and sisters and my son. A few minutes later my wife and daughter come out and are really upset. They come over and tell me we're leaving and driving back to NJ. I try to find out what happened. Once we get back to NJ and they calm down, they tell me that our son and his fiancée along with her family don't want us at the wedding. According to what I was told, we're not their kind of people. I was livid. I called my son and asked him WTH this was about. He tells me that her family feel that we are not good enough and will embarrass them at a family wedding and that we are all uninvited from the wedding. I let a week go by to calm myself down and drive back to the PA house. The new future in-laws are in the house along with the fiancé. It appears that they all moved into the house. They ask me why I'm there. I tell them that since we aren't invited to the wedding, I was coming over to talk to my son. They tell me to leave their house. I lost it and told them that they had 30 days to get out. Tell my son I'm selling the house and he could find somewhere else to live with all of you. I go to a realtor in town and list the house for sale. They call my son at work and tell him what I said. Apparently, they thought that he owned the house. He calls me and asks why I'm selling his house. I tell him I paid for it along with the taxes on it and it is mine. He was living there rent-free, but since he doesn't want us in his new life, he has to get out. I tell him the same as I told his future in-laws, they have 30 days to get out, then I'll get a lawyer and get them evicted. Am I the AH for taking a hard stance on this? He is my son, but the in-laws seem to take over and we no longer count. NTA. And I want an update on this because it sounds nuts. What kind of people do they think you are? How is your son okay with excluding his whole family? Do you think your son's been brainwashed by his fiancée? How did he think the house was his when he didn't pay the taxes on it? So many questions. Second, the request for an update in a few weeks. This soap opera has more episodes for sure. Oh, it sure does. This is more drama than a reality TV show. Just perplexed how his son could forego his parents and attach himself with a new family. NTA. You don't need a lawyer in 30 days, you need one now. I am not familiar with PA tenant laws etc., but you need to follow everything by the book so that they can't contest anything. I would also go back and videotape, with timestamp, the entire property, inside and out, so they can be held accountable for any damage done. NTA. They all moved into your house? That's so bizarre. Tell them they're not your kind of people, aka squatters. And had the audacity to say Opie and family are not good enough lol. Son is really being isolated. NTA. I actually find it hilarious he is so entitled to the house he didn't even expect you to take it back after his actions. I believe this is exactly the reality check he needed. NTA. But your son must not be very smart. What did he think would happen if he let his in-laws try to kick you out of a house you own? Why would you let people who openly say you aren't good enough live rent-free in your house? NTA. After the wedding they would have tried to put the wife as part owner of the house and has a rude shock. NTA. Excluding his family from the wedding for ridiculous reasons is a pretty big foo to you and your family. He is experiencing the natural consequences of his actions. They seem to have moved pretty fast towards isolating son from his family. Too bad Sun doesn't recognize what's going on. NTA rock on man. He was wrong and there is no amount of excuses or words to convince otherwise. It overall seems toxic and there is no reason why he should allow anyone to exclude his family. I could understand if maybe you haven't been supportive or there were issues, but based off what I read, it baffles me why he would even do this. Don't let it keep going forward if this is the life he wants. They can find another house together and not use you for an easy life. I'd be interested to see how long the fiancé sticks around. NTA. What is wrong with your son? Abusers isolate their partners from their friends and family. While Opie's actions are correct, he should also be telling his son that he'll be there for him if he decides to leave the relationship. Not our kind of people? What, not mooches? And he tells me that her family feel that we are not good enough and will embarrass them at a family wedding. Embarrass them in front of whom? Like who is going to be there that they would be embarrassed in front of? It would just be these two families, right? This wedding going to be televised or something? But really, though no races were mentioned here, I'm guessing this is just racism or perhaps religious bigotry. NTA. Are you in the market for a new son? NTA. Once everyone calms down, I would tell my son that you are very concerned about him marrying into such a family, that you feel that they are isolating him from your family, and that you are worried about what would happen if things between him and his fiancée go bad. Let him know that you still love him and will have his back. If he goes through with this marriage, I think he'll need your support. Personally, I'd tell him to run. Up, I would tell your son he has 3 choices as far as your property is concerned. 1. They all move out immediately and you pay them $1,000 to be out within 72 hours. They are therefore moving out by choice. No legal channels necessary. You then go in and change the locks. 2. You go through a formal eviction process and let your son know that this will mean that he has an eviction on his record. 3. You sit your son down and have the conversation with him that he may continue living in the house rent-free only, and you do mean only if the other parties move out immediately. Cameras are set up in the house to continuously prove that they are not moving back in, and he seriously reconsiders this relationship and why he is with someone who is so hell-bent on separating him from his family and living off of his financial freedom without any contributions whatsoever. Then let him make his choice, all the while going through the eviction process, so it has been started already. It truly could be that he never even thought about the fact that they are using him and isolating him from his own support network and loving family. As for his future in-laws, tell him you aren't the sort of people we want to financially support, so you may not live in our house. Nor will we fund the wedding, nor will we fund any aspect of their lives or your life. Particularly since we are not the type of people you want at the wedding. Let the ILs mull that one over. AmITheA. Honestly, your son is a spoiled brat and so is his gold-digging fiancé. The only way I can see this happening if your son is a mark to them. And they are trying to isolate him from his family. It seems odd he would walk away from you like that. NTA. Get a lawyer yesterday. You need to officially evict them and make sure it cannot be contested, as the in-laws are technically squatters due to you not knowing they were moving in and the only agreement you have is with the son. You need to make sure that you're safe to sell the house and evicting them in the right way. Also, you need to go over and take pictures and videos so they can't tank the value and are held accountable for any damages. If they're willing to kick you out of the wedding, they're probably willing to destroy shit to spite you, and you need to protect yourself. There's gotta be more to this. What's weird about this is that snobbery is normally down to wealth, but it seems the Opie is pretty well to do, and the fiancé's family seem less so if they are all moving in with their future son-in-law, so why aren't they their sort of people? A few possibilities. Opie is a different ethnic group to them. Opie is blue collar like a wealthy builder or something. They are actually members of a cult. There's something Opie isn't disclosing about himself, like maybe he's a famous criminal or he's a KKK Grand Dragon or something. Also, homophobia. Opie never mentioned their gender, but their avatar is female, and they mention having a wife.
That's all for today. If you want to hear more hilarious, scary, devastating, jaw-dropping, heartwarming, amazing Reddit content, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for more content. Thanks and have a great day.